Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Another round of Premier League fixtures is upon us, and you know what that means. It's time for another Premier League prediction show. We are entering match day 16 of the new season. We are fast approaching the midway point of the season. The table is beginning to take shape. The action is getting more intense. The points and the games are getting even more important. And of course, this is the video where I talk about all of the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures and also give my predictions on each and every single game. But before we go any further in talking about them, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and front would be greatly appreciated. So for now, let's get into the predictions. We are of course kicking things off with Friday night's encounter between Brentford and Watford. So fantasy football managers, get your teams ready for Friday night's kickoff. Brentford last time out drew 2-2 with Leeds thanks to a very late goal from Leeds to earn a point there, whilst Watford were beaten 3-1 by the new league leaders Manchester City. It's an interesting game, this one. Brentford inconsistent, whilst Watford have been on some really bad form as of late. But in saying that, they have had a very tough run of fixtures in recent weeks to contend with. So maybe it's sort of plausible as to why that has occurred. It's a tough game to predict, this one. It genuinely could go either way. But I'm going to call it down the middle, and I'm going to say that this will end 2-2 come the final whistle. Next up, in one of Saturday's 3 o'clock games, we see Wolves travel to the Etihad Stadium to take on the new league leaders Manchester City. City beat Watford 3-1 last time out, whilst Wolves were beaten very late on by a late Divock Origi goal as Liverpool won 1-0 against them. This one's a very intriguing one. You've got City, top of the table, heading into this game in fine form. On paper, of course, they should be winning this game. But you have the solid and disciplined outfit of Wolves to contend with, who were very close to getting a point from Liverpool last weekend. I imagine their game plan will be something similar. Sit in deep, defend strongly and disciplined and be resolute, and try to use Adama Traore's pace on the counter-attack as an outlet. A draw for Wolves isn't out of the realms of possibility by any means, but I'm going to give the slight edge to City here and say that they are going to get the 3 points in this game with a 2-1 victory in favour of Pep Guardiola's side. Next up, we're at the Emirates Stadium for Arsenal hosting Southampton. Last time out, of course, Arsenal were beaten 2-1 by Everton, while Southampton were the latest to fall victim to a extremely late Brighton goal as the Seagulls managed to snatch a point away from the Saints in a 1-1 draw there. I honestly have no idea about this one, in all honesty. I don't know which Arsenal or even Southampton side for that matter will turn up in this game. Both sides are very, very inconsistent. But of course, Arsenal have been on a bit of a downward spiral as of late. Southampton may be looking to take advantage of what may be seen or perceived to be a bit of a fragile Arsenal side right now, and maybe try to get 3 points to put towards them, towards the gap that may be building between them and relegation. Whilst I could see Arsenal go on and win this game, of course, I'm going to call it down the middle and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. Moving on, we come to Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea taking on Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds United at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. Chelsea, of course, picked up their second defeat of the season last weekend when they were beaten 3-2 in the London derby that they had with West Ham, whilst Leeds managed to get a extremely late equaliser against Brentford as they drew 2-2. The Blues will be looking to get back to winning ways, of course, in this game, and of course they will be looking to chase down both Liverpool and Manchester City at the top of the table, hoping that one of or both of those two sides slip up so that they can take advantage of that. However, they'll be coming up against a Leeds side who, whilst they've been underwhelming this season, as I've said on numerous occasions, and have had a number of injuries to contend with, they will probably be fancying their chances of getting something from this game. It should be pointed out that on paper, whilst Chelsea should be the victors in this game and should be winning this game, Chelsea's performances haven't exactly been entirely convincing for a few weeks now, and like I say, Leeds may fancy their chances of getting something from this game. However, in saying that, the safe bet, the safe money is on the Blues to win here, and that is why I believe that the Blues will have too much for Leeds to handle and will go on and win this game 2-0 to Thomas Tuchel's side. Now we move on to Saturday's evening's clash, and it's going to be at Carrow Road as Manchester United travel away to Norwich. Norwich, of course, lost 3-0 to Tottenham last time out, whilst United, under the new interim manager Ralph Rangnick, got off to the perfect start last weekend with a 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. Again, another one on paper that seems to be a bit of a foregone conclusion. This has a United win written all over it. But don't rule out Norwich immediately. Whilst United did improve last week, let's face it, they couldn't have got much worse. Dean Smith with Norwich have also shown positive signs of improvement, however small they may seem or may be. But, of course, they still face an uphill struggle, both in terms of this game and, of course, their struggle to fight relegation. It's not impossible or out of the realms of possibility for Norwich to get something from this game. A draw, a point maybe. But, of course, the safe bet and my prediction is going to be on Manchester United to win here. And that's why I'm going to say 2-0 to the Red Devils. Next we move on to Sunday's games and to a game that may or may not be taking place. We're going to be talking about it anyway. It's the clash at the Amex Stadium between Brighton and Tottenham. Brighton last time out, of course, got that extremely late equaliser that saw them get a point against Southampton in a 1-1 draw, whilst Spurs were beating Norwich 3-0 last time out. Now, I say reportedly this could get postponed, and that's because, of course, of the coronavirus outbreak that is currently going on at Spurs right now. They may ask the Premier League to postpone this game. They've already managed to get the game against Rennes in the Europa Conference League postponed on Thursday. So I'm assuming that will be taken into consideration before the Premier League gives a final verdict on whether this game can go ahead or not. Manager Antonio Conte, of course, has confirmed multiple cases, positive cases, should I say, of coronavirus breaking out amongst both his staff and his players. So there is a strong possibility that this game may not be going ahead. But if it does go ahead, this would possibly be the perfect time for Brighton to sort of end their 10-game streak without a win against a depleted and weakened Tottenham side, it seems. As harsh as it may be on Spurs, of course, if the game does go ahead, it will be a good opportunity for Brighton to get 3 points in this game. Again, not massively confident on this prediction if it does go ahead, but I would say that I would give the edge to Brighton in this case and say that the Seagulls do come out of this as 2-1 winners, however harsh that may be on Spurs, if, and I can't stress it enough, if this game does go ahead. Next over at Turf Moor for Burnley hosting their clash with West Ham. Burnley, of course, lost to Newcastle last week 1-0, whilst West Ham were victorious in that London derby against fierce rivals Chelsea as the Hammers ran out as 3-2 winners. Interesting game, this one, between relegation threatened Burnley and high-flying West Ham, where we know that the Hammers, of course, have been great this season and will be riding high, particularly from last week's victory in the London derby over fierce rivals Chelsea last week. And on paper, they really should make it back-to-back wins here. They really should be beating Burnley. But of course, as we know, games aren't won on paper. My only concern for West Ham is that it may not happen this week, it may not happen next week, but maybe somewhere down the line the wheels may start to fall off a little bit. Maybe because of them playing Thursday nights in European action, along with the injuries that are starting to accumulate for David Moyes' side. Maybe all of that will add together and sort of take its toll on the Hammers. But for now, at least, it doesn't appear to be affecting them majorly. and that is why I see them winning 3-1 come the final whistle. Next up, the Foxes meet the Magpies as Leicester take on Newcastle at the King Power Stadium. Leicester were beaten by Villa last time out 2-1, whilst Newcastle got their first victory of the season thanks to that 1-0 victory over Burnley. It's a big game, this one, for Newcastle. I mean, every game is when you consider that you're near the bottom of the table, but when you've got fixtures against the likes of Liverpool and both Manchester clubs all coming up on the horizon for the Magpies, this is likely, and therefore by forfeit and default, your most favourable game to get points out of. With all due respect to Leicester, of course. As for the Foxes, again, as I've said time and time again, they've been somewhat underperforming this season. And whilst this game is likely to go in Leicester's favour, I've got a gut feeling about a draw, you know, for this one. I've got a feeling that Newcastle will definitely get something from this game, and that is why I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. For our penultimate game, we are at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace's clash with Everton. Palace were beaten 1-0 by Manchester United last weekend, whilst Everton finally got back to winning ways with a 2-1 victory over Arsenal. Intriguing game, this one, between Palace, who have gone a little bit off the rails in recent games following their good start to the season, and an Everton side who finally ended their winless streak on Monday night against Arsenal, but still have a ton of issues in terms of both injuries and stuff happening off the pitch that, of course, is spiralling and continuing to snowball. It's a game that genuinely could go any which way, and that's why I'm going to call it down the middle. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw come the final whistle here. And finally, what I believe to be the main event or the biggest highlight from this round of Premier League fixtures, Anfield welcomes back a legend in the form of Aston Villa manager Steven Gerrard as Liverpool take on Villa on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Both sides come into this game off the back of wins, of course. Liverpool with that late Divock Origi winner that saw them beat Wolves 1-0 last weekend, whilst Villa came from a goal down to beat Leicester by 2-1. It's a game that promises to be an intriguing one, an exciting one, and maybe even an emotional one, as Steven Gerrard returns to Anfield for the first time as a manager. He's already said that he wants to win this game. He's not going to be helping out his former club in any way, shape or form. He wants to win this game for Aston Villa. But he does know, of course, he's not stupid. He's going to be facing a very, very, very tough task ahead in the form of Jurgen Klopp. And obviously, barring last week, his free-scoring Liverpool side. Villa have started well to life under Gerrard, of course. They have won 3 of the 4 games that he's been in charge of. And they'll be going up against a Liverpool side who have been in excellent form since coming back from the international break. I believe the experience of Klopp mixed with the red-hot form of Liverpool in general, and of course in particular the likes of Mohamed Salah, will be too much for Villa to handle in this game. And that's why I've got to say it. It's going to be a 3-1 victory in favour of Liverpool. Sorry, Stevie. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all of the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures coming up this weekend? What are your own predictions on them? That is the main important thing, of course, of this show. I want to know your predictions on every single Premier League fixture to be coming up this weekend. Also, fantasy football managers, who do you see having a good week? Who do you see having a bad week? Who are you putting into your squad this week? Who are you taking out of your squad? Let me know all of your thoughts, comments, opinions, and of course, most of all, your predictions on all of the games coming up, and of course, your fantasy football stuff down below in the comments section, because I'm sure it'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.